Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of eHeroes. For those keeping count, this is episode 305. Can you believe that? And my next guest hasn't been on the show for almost 5 years, or over 5 years, and last appeared on episode 38. So I want to welcome back the amazing Angela Langlotz, and we're going to talk about
Pack Duo.
that, yeah, that Haley Welch girl who apparently has now gotten more than her 15 minutes of fame from some derogatory thing that she said that the media just picked up and went wild with. That's
Rob, you
something.
forgot to introduce me. I'm Angela Langlotz, trademark and copyright attorney.
Didn't I just say your name?
No, I don't believe you did.
I said the amazing Angela Langlotz. Didn't I?
Did you really? Okay. Maybe
Yes.
I'm just maybe I'm not listening.
Yeah, we're amazing in our own perspective, I guess. Hearing's not one of them. But
Apparently, at least not this morning.
I have my iced tea. Do you have an iced coffee or anything?
So I call this my big ass mug, Rob. Do you
Wow,
understand why I call it my big ass mug?
that's bigger than your head.
So I don't know if you recall, but in the 90s, George Bush Sr. said, I only have one drink, but it's a double. I only have one cup of coffee, but it's big.
But it's funny because I was thinking about stuff that happened in the late '80s, early '90s,
Mhm.
with the whole Iran Contra situation with Ali North, and it was funny because as soon as that happened, all the shops on the beach on the whole East Coast were selling Ali North T-shirts that were never trademarked, and so now we are here, 40 years later. And it's the
Mhm.
same thing. People are taking advantage of somebody's, saying that happened in an interview, and they're making money from it without even, some of them aren't even trademarking it. Some of them are doing the legitimate process and going through. But and I hate busting on people, but I will because this girl has gotten way too much publicity for this weird thing.
I so agree. So she actually applied to register her trademark using an LLC called 16 Minutes LLC, apparently referring to the 15 minutes of fame. And so she's had her 15 minutes. And here's the funny thing, Rob. It takes 9 to 10 months to hear back from the trademark office once you file an application. In 9 to 10 months, no one is going to be talking about that video, that viral video, haktua, and spit on that thing. It's going to be long forgotten. So she applied to register late. So she applied to register after other people had both used the mark and applied to register. So she applied to register Hawktuah, spelled HAWKTUAH, for a few different things. I don't recall because I haven't looked at it lately, but she applied to register after other people had both started using the trademark for goods and services and had applied. So she is last in line for clothing, hot sauce. What else did people apply to register for? People applied to register for a whole bunch of things even before she applied to register. So the way the trademark system works is that if you haven't used the trademark yet, but you apply, then you get what's called a priority date. That priority date is the date of application. If you have used the trademark, you can allege a date of first use going back to your date of first use when you apply. So you can either base your trademark claim on your date of first use, and use of the trademark, even without registration, gives you what are called common law trademark rights. if you don't have common law trademark rights because you haven't used the trademark yet, then when you apply based on your intent to use the trademark in commerce, you have rights dating back to the date and time that you applied. The interesting thing in this case is that there are a couple of trademark applications, hers is one of them, dating back to the same date, but because the trademark applications are electronically stamped when they're filed at the trademark office, I went in to look at the timestamp on each of the trademark applications that were filed on that day, and hers is later in time than another one that was prior filed. So she's behind, I think when I looked at it last, she's behind something like 6 other people as far as the trademark application process goes. And she also wasn't the first user. So maybe for some goods and services, I don't remember what those would be. Maybe for some goods and services, she actually does have trademark rights based on her intent to use, but not for clothing, not for hot sauce. There were some other things as well, but those the clothing is really high value as
Mhm.
far as consumer demand. People will buy crazy t-shirts all day long. People will buy crazy hats all day long. But like I said, she is not first in time or first in right for the trademark for those things. And it doesn't matter if she coined the phrase or said a crazy phrase on camera. That doesn't, without more, give her any trademark rights at all.
Yeah, and the I guess the people who filmed everything now are trying to trademark and going after her and going after other people, and it's so crazy because the thing is that they're getting publicity, and like you said, the trademark is going to go through in 9 months or a year, and nobody's going to remember.
Yeah, instead of just enjoying the windfall, because that's what this is, it's a
Mhm.
windfall. Okay. It's not sustainable. She's not funny. Okay. You have to be smart. Like, look at all the comedians out there. I'm probably going to be dragged for all these snarky comments, but I'm a little snarky. Um, all the comedians out there, they're smart. In order to be funny, you have to be smart. Like Jerry Seinfeld is smart. Chelsea Handler is smart. George Carlin was smart.
Mhm.
You have to be smart to be a good comedian because, she doesn't strike me as being very smart, Rob.
Mm-mm. No, and I'm looking at the internet right now on Google, and there are so many things. Bill Maher is criticizing her, the BBC is criticizing her, and then she goes on a defense and just makes it worse. And it's I
Yeah,
still
she's
can't
saying
believe.
she actually made a video saying, "Oh, all of you people who are monetizing my trademark, my phrase, my lawyers are coming after you." And I saw that and I was like, this girl does not have any rights at all. She doesn't have any rights to the video, the copyright on the video. Why? Because she wasn't standing behind the camera. The
Mhm,
copyright law says that if it's a photograph, whoever snapped the shutter is the author of the work. And author and work are defined in the copyright law. The author is whoever created whatever work. The work is what we're claiming the copyright rights to. So the work in this case is the video that was shot by the guy standing behind the camera. He's actually the author for copyright purposes.
mhm.
So for her to say that she has rights to the video, she doesn't have any rights. She was just standing there drunk on the street in Nashville, Tennessee, apparently. I don't know for a fact that she was drunk, but she seemed drunk. And she uttered, something that through no efforts of her own, through the efforts of other people, went viral. The
Mhm.
video is owned by the person who was standing behind the camera. They published it, and they have the right to do that. They published it. It's their work. They published clips. It's their work. They are the ones that actually have the rights to the video and any clips from the video. They're the authors.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that I know about you is that you're very honest and ethical, and
Yes, I
you would
am.
never take on a client like this,
No.
but there are lawyers who will, and it's evident by all the things that she's tried to file, and then you know try to sue all the people that have filed first.
It's ridiculous, Rob. So either her lawyer is dishonest or just doesn't understand the law.
Hmm.
Because had she come to me, I would have told her, listen, I'm sorry, you don't have any rights to the video and you don't have any right to the trademark. We can file a trademark application if you want to, but all of these people have already filed before you and they used the trademark before you. So you're not going to be able to assert any trademark rights because you didn't use the mark first. And you also didn't file first based on your intent to use. So that means that you will not be issued this trademark unless all of these other people abandon their trademarks. And maybe that's what her attorney's game plan is.
Hmm.
Maybe her attorney's game plan is to just bully the other trademark applicants into, we call it an express abandonment, into expressly abandoning their trademark applications. I did see one that was expressly abandoned the last time I checked, but that was a couple of weeks ago. But I want those people to know that this woman doesn't have any trademark rights at all unless they abandon. So I wouldn't be abandoning. I would just say, well, let's let the trademark office decide.
Yeah. But it's so easy though when you see a video just to reshare it, and you don't. Most people don't even think about the trademark laws, copyright laws.
Copyright.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so they just, oh, that's nice. I'll just reshare it. You don't own it.
Well, Rob, though, we have to make a distinction between what we actually mean by resharing. So when you upload a video to a platform, all of the video, uh, all of the content platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, they all have terms of service that basically say if you're a content creator and you upload material to our platform, you give us the right to share your content and you give other people using our share feature on the platform the right to reshare it. That is allowed per the terms of service. What isn't allowed is, and this is what is copyright infringement, is downloading the video, doing things like removing a watermark.
Mhm.
Some of the videos that were, we call it sharing, but it's really not. It's really copyright infringement. They removed the watermark and then shared.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you download somebody's content off of the platform on which it was shared and then reshare it, that's a copyright infringement. If, however, you use the share feature that's built into every platform, that's not copyright infringement.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of this stuff has been turned into memes, which I'm sure haven't been cleared.
Memes. Okay, let's talk about memes. There is a fair use exception to an accusation of copyright infringement that is based on um, parody. Okay. So if what you're creating is, we call it transformative, if you're transforming it into a new work and you're using a very limited part of, and this is important in a case like this, you're using a very limited part of the work. That can fall under the fair use exception. But if you take the essence of the work and then share it, that's not fair use. So in this case, I would argue, on one hand, these cases get litigated a lot because they're very much a facts and circumstances sort of thing, Rob. I would argue that taking the phrase, the little tiny clip where she said, it's probably all of 15 seconds where they ask her, you know, I'm not even going to repeat it because it's a little bit off color. And she says the famous phrase, sometimes you gotta hawk twa and spit on that thing. So they asked her sort of an off-color question. That was her reply. That clip really is the essence of the interview.
Mhm.
Okay. There's nothing special about the rest of it. That little clip that went viral is the essence. So if people are copying that clip, I would argue on one hand that that is absolutely copyright infringement and not a fair use because it takes the essence of the interview
Mhm.
and reproduces it without permission, especially if what they did was download it and create their own meme. If they shared it, like I said previously, using the platform share features, that's fair game. That's within the terms of service. The creators, when they uploaded it, gave permission for people to share based on the platform terms of service.
Yeah, and we go back to all the people that or all the shops that have copied the image and put them on shirts and hats. They're gonna make money until they're slapped with, a cease and desist, which a lot of times they know, hey, this won't last more than, 6 months, and they'll get away with it.
Yeah, and it probably won't even last that long, Rob. So what's protected? So the copyright owner, that is the guy who was standing behind the camera, and maybe his partner, I don't know what kind of arrangement he has with his partner that was holding the microphone, but the guy standing behind the camera has rights to that clip, that frame that is being reproduced on the shirt. So that's one thing. Does Haley Welch, the Hawk girl, does she have rights to that image? I can see an argument for yes, and I can see an argument for no. On one hand, people do generally have the right to prevent the commercial exploitation of their name and likeness. So
Mhm.
that's one thing. However, putting the clip or putting the image of that frame, I'm talking about the frame shot, right? The frame shot. Putting the image of that on a shirt doesn't mean that she is somehow endorsing that t-shirt company or that work. And the right of publicity generally implicates the right of people, especially famous people, to not have their name and likeness associated with other commercial enterprises, right? They have a right of publicity and a right to their own image. So let's say that you're a jewelry company, you can't use Sharon Stone's image to market your jewelry because that's Sharon Stone has a right of publicity to not have her name and image associated with something that maybe she doesn't necessarily want to endorse.
Mhm.
Now, Haley Welch has become famous, sort of famous or
Mhm.
infamous. I'm not sure which. So maybe she could argue that she has a right of publicity and that she doesn't want her name and image associated with that. But given that she's publicizing that, I think it's hard hard to make that argument. And on the other hand, she was standing in a public space
Mhm.
when she was photographed. So in that sense, maybe she doesn't have a right to prevent that image that was taken in public at her consent. She consented to the interview.
Mhm.
It wasn't as if, she was walking down the street and they snapped a picture of her and put it on a t-shirt and made up some meme about it. No, she gave the interview. She consented to being photographed. She consented to being recorded. She was in a public place where she didn't have any expectation of privacy. So is it fair to take that and put it on a shirt? On the one hand, I would argue, yes, it is.
Yeah,
How will it turn out? I have no idea. None.
and the thing is, I've watched a few of those First Amendment auditors on YouTube,
Yeah.
and some of them do, I think, take it a little too far. But yes, when you're in public, there is no expectation of privacy. So, to interview people on the street, they
Yeah.
have no say in what how you publish that stuff.
Right.
So we look at this as, I think, as a lesson. Yes, you could get 15 minutes of fame by saying something stupid,
Hmm.
and she's extending that fame a little bit more. I've been reading that now she's offered a reality TV show. Like, what?
I read that as well, Rob, and my thought was what is interesting about her life that is worthy of a reality TV show? Or are we just, oh, this is so snarky. I don't even know if I want to say it, Rob. Or are we just sort of watching um, people try to make a woman who's completely unremarkable? That's the nicest way I can think of to say it. A woman who is completely unremarkable into a reality TV star. Now, maybe that is worthy of a reality TV show,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't watch it. I don't really
No,
watch reality TV
you know,
anyway, but
and maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I'm getting older,
and
but
crankier.
I'm just turning into a curmudgeon.
Turning
The
into
whole
Rob.
the whole Rob versus series is me and my sarcasm. But
Yeah.
I don't look at shit like this anymore and think, wow, she's an interesting person.
Right.
I'm like, no, she's a dredge of society. Just
I
trying to
don't
get her.
I don't know that I'd say that she's the dregs of society. I don't think that's quite fair. But I would say that she's completely unremarkable in every way. And she quit her job. I don't know where she was working. It doesn't sound like a terribly high wage job, but I think that was probably a mistake. So now she wants to do a reality TV show and she wants to do comedy.
Mhm.
I don't think I'd be investing in either one of those if I
No,
were
I'm waiting for a letter from her, probably to you too, suing us for defamation.
Oh my goodness. Now that would be funny. I would totally turn that into content. I don't think anything we've said here is defamatory. I think giving our opinions about somebody who has thrust herself um, purposely into the public spotlight is fair game for commentary. And she doesn't have any rights to sue for defamation. So
You
Haley
know,
Welch,
and
if you're watching this,
and
please put your lawyer letters away. I will not be responding. I will give you the typical response that I give people when they come at me or my clients with some baloney. I will say, thank you very much for your letter. Here's the law. We now consider the matter closed. Very truly yours, Angela V. Langlotz, attorney at law.
and I remember, and I can't discuss some of the elements, but I remember back in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
I took some photographs, put them on a website, created it for a client. They copied it, and first person I called was you,
Yeah,
and you worked your magic, and you had that website taken down.
I did.
And we're getting into this. I think more and more people think, oh well, it's just a photograph. I'll just use it wherever.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. Don't. And I have so many people, Rob. Well, just pull some images off the internet, and put them on our website.
Mm-mm.
No.
No, don't do that. Here's the problem. The problem is the copyright laws never contemplated a world where you could copy just by, right click download. They never
Mhm,
really contemplated that. And I think one of the unfair things about the copyright laws and that hasn't been updated for a right click download world is that it doesn't give people who are tempted to right click download any warning
mhm,
that what they're about to do is a copyright infringement and could carry some heavy monetary penalties with it. So I think that's unfair. But I've been trying to tell people, look, don't do the right click download thing unless it's yours or
mhm,
unless you got it from a photo sharing site where everything is free to share. And this is important, you've checked the attribution terms. That's important too. Don't use that photo.
mhm,
And Rob, here's what some of these photo sites have started doing. They've started uploading photographs and saying, oh, it's free to use. But then they have terms that require attribution.
mhm,
And because people don't read the terms, they will sometimes use the photo without the required attribution from the author. And then they will get a demand letter from the attorney for the author saying, oh, yeah, you used my photo. It was free to use, but you didn't comply with the attribution term, so now you're guilty of copyright infringement. I want statutory damages.
Hmm.
That is not fair, I don't think. And I don't like this trend. It feels like a honeypot, and it is a honeypot. They're basically saying, hey, come use our photograph, it's free. But then in the fine print, they're saying, oh, and if you use our photograph without this proper attribution, exactly like this, we're going to sue you for copyright infringement.
Hmm. Yeah,
I think it should be in bold, in bold on the photograph itself that, hey, if you want to download this, that's totally cool, but you have to give us attribution. They shouldn't be able to hide that in the fine print and then later come back and assert some sort of damages, statutory damages for copyright infringement.
yeah, I've gotten letters like that before, and I have to look at them. From writing books dealing with scammers, I look at a lot of things, going, okay, is this legit? And I've gotten a few of those, and clients have said, "Hey, Rob, what is this?"
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll just say ignore it.
Yeah.
But then they'll come back again. Hey, we want more money because you ignored this. And I'm like, okay, what's this really about? And I'll go in and I'm like, well, they're citing this picture, but this is a picture we added. I just changed the picture. And sometimes that settles it. But I think some of these some of them, the lawyers are legit. When you do things, you do it very legitimately. You
Sure.
look at it and say, okay, what is this, the scope of this? But then there are others that are just automated. There's no
Yeah.
lawyer involved, and it's just they just send thousands of them out a day.
Yeah, and if they can get, 10% of the people to pay because they're scared, I think the practice is very unethical. And I think those lawyers deserve to be disbarred.
Hmm.
If what they're sending is basically scam letters trying to get people to pay when they weren't infringing, or whether when they did use the image, but it was a free image and there was no attribution required. There was one company, Getty Images.
Hmm.
Getty Images was actually downloading things from the Library of Congress, and anything in the Library of Congress library, any images there, those are public domain.
Hmm.
But they were downloading those, uploading them to Getty Images, and then asserting copyright ownership. And they got slapped big time for that, as well they should, because what they did was illegal. They were basically scamming people.
Hmm.
And this is Getty Images. Like, they're already making millions and millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars a year selling their images to, excuse me, various publications like Time Magazine and, the New York Times and all of that. So why do they need to scam creators? They're just doing it because they can.
Hmm.
Um, Here's a best practice that I think everybody who's using images on their blogs should incorporate into the website building process. If you're going to be using someone else's photographs, maybe you got them from a photo sharing site, maybe you bought a license to them, whatever. Document where you got the photo, when you got it, and
Hmm.
what licensing fee you paid for it, if any. Because sometimes what happens is people download them, assert copyright ownership, even
Hmm.
though it's not even theirs. And then they send out these scam copyright letters. But if you can say, no, I actually got this image off of this photo sharing site. Here were the terms and conditions. Here's the date that I downloaded it. Like screenshot it. I know that sounds like an enormous amount of work, but sometimes it's what you need to do to prevent a copyright claim, a
Hmm.
copyright infringement claim.
Oh, we all have these cameras built into our phones. Take your own darn pictures.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, we have so many different ways of creating content anymore. Like when I built my website, I used I subscribed to a photo sharing site. Like it was a paid subscription
Hmm.
and all of the photos are free to use. So that's what I did. It actually doesn't cost that much money to subscribe to a photo sharing website. There's a bunch of them out there, but I tend to stay away from these free photo sharing sites because I feel like many of them are honeypots.
right. And
So
it's so easy to search on Google, and you can pop up the images and see all, and people are like, wow, I think I'll take that one. Now Google is starting to put licensable, like, yeah, people are still copying them.
yeah, people really need to check the Creative Commons conditions because some photos are Creative Commons, no attribution necessary. Some of them are Creative Commons, free to use but attribution necessary. Some of them are Creative Commons, you can use it free for personal use, but you have to pay for business use. So there's a lot of levels of licensing that are out there, and you have to make sure that you're complying with that, or you may face a copyright infringement claim.
Hmm. One of the things that I prefer to do. Uh, it's not always what my clients want. Is I try to keep their website up to date.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy because they'll say, "Well, just no, just keep it up there." I'm like, "No, that person doesn't work here. Get it." But I think when they don't listen, they get slapped.
Yeah.
And there's not much a web person can do if the owner of the website's telling them not to do it. So
Yeah.
it's you know as a web developer, I can get slapped because I created the site. The owner of the site can get slapped because they own the site. And I just think people need to know that, hey, look, yes, the creator, the website developer, isn't always the one responsible. It's the owner saying, hey, this is what I want you to put up there, and or not take down.
Yeah, and the owner of the website cannot absolve themselves of a claim of copyright infringement by pointing the finger at the developer.
Right.
Basically, everybody that copied, and even if the owner of the website didn't actually do the copying, they're still liable for
Hmm.
anything that was copied. So people need to be careful about using other people's images without permission.
Yeah, even on social. They I've noticed a lot of creators now, they're watermarking more of their stuff, which they should be.
Absolutely,
Um,
yeah,
but that then other people will go out and share it, which is fine, proper sharing.
exactly.
But like you said, when they take the watermark off or claim it as their own, that's not cool. You know.
No, that's
Now,
that's copyright infringement.
right. There's social media has become the wild, wild west of the early internet. There used to be a lot of stuff we could and couldn't do, but I think people on social media just think, "Well, whatever, I'm just going to reshare this."
Fair game.
Yeah, yeah. So it's you know, I think it's ironic though when something goes viral, how fast people are to take advantage or monetize it in some odd way.
Mhm.
Um, even if it's stupid like this hawk girl.
Yeah, I was amazed at how swiftly after the video went viral that people filed trademark applications.
Yeah.
And when I went in to look at the trademark applications, these were not filed by attorneys. They were filed by uh, pro se applicants, people who were self-represented. And at least for clothing, it's hard to show proper use of the trademark on clothing because the trademark examiners will not accept in the statement of use, they will not accept merely an image of the trademark on a t-shirt. That's called merely decorative use, and it doesn't qualify as trademark use because the consumer wouldn't perceive it as a source identifier. So a
Right.
lot of these people who filed without benefit of counsel are going to find themselves, when it comes time to file the statement of use, they're going to find themselves unable to prove use because they're just not gonna know what to do about
Well,
that.
I think it was at least 2 or 3 days after the media showed, Haley, there was Facebook pop-up shops with,
Yeah.
these shirts already, and I'm like, "Okay, 1, it's a fake shop, and half the stuff that's on there is probably in violation of some copyright."
Well, print on demand makes it incredibly easy
Yeah,
to, just throw up a shop because all you need to do is upload an image to, Printify or whatever, and then you can take that and connect it to. I don't know if you can connect it to Facebook. You probably can. You can certainly connect it to Shopify, and I think you can connect Shopify to Facebook, and you can run ads and advertise your flavor of the week, I'll just call it. You can advertise those goods very, very easily. So, print on demand, just the nature of that business model has made it very easy for people to share what's viral this week.
so Haley Welsh has become the flavor of the week.
She was the flavor of the week a couple of weeks ago
Yeah.
at the end of June, probably into mid July. And I made some videos about it. Hey, Rob, check check YouTube or check Google and see if my videos about Hawk Tuah are still 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the Google search results
Their
because they were
trademark
for a while.
or just
They
you
were.
let's see.
So I used that to get a lot of views, and I'm waiting for Haley Welch to send me a
If
cease
I
and
if
desist
I
letter.
type in Octwa copyright or trademark, the first 3 videos I see are yours.
Are they? That's awesome. Yeah, I made some shorts about it, and I made some longer videos about it. It's a really interesting case study, and that's why I did it.
Well,
Um,
also, for all those that are paying attention, it's what's called newsjacking. You're taking what's viral, what's newsworthy, what's trending, and you're giving your thoughts, opinions, remarks about the subject. And sometimes your videos, will go more viral than the actual subject matter that you're talking, that
yeah,
the
that
individual.
hasn't happened. That hasn't happened.
Come
But I
on.
will say, my views on the shorts, which don't count toward your YouTube watch time, sadly,
Yeah.
but they've gotten me a lot of new subscribers to my channel. And you can put, if you want to, at the end of your YouTube videos, you can put these little cards and direct people to other videos. I'm not sure if you can do that on shorts or not, but you can redirect people to longer videos. So
Right.
that's useful.
Yeah, I know with shorts you can say you can add related videos. So you just keep them in a loop, watching more of your stuff. Uh,
Exactly.
but here's the thing is that, you know, you took an opportunity, you saw an opportunity to, teach people about not only this copyright, but now you're getting the exposure, and I think that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
you didn't come right out and um, say derogatory things to a news reporter,
No.
but you are reporting on the derogatory things, and the rise of Haley Welsh in the
Yeah.
media. But it's I think it's very important as marketers that we look at what's happening in the world, and we give our thoughts. I don't know what legacy will happen from Haley Welsh. Will she still be remembered in 30 years, 40 years? When I opened this episode up, I mentioned Ollie North from Iran Contra. I
Mhm.
still remember that, and that happened in the late '80s.
You remember it, Rob,
I
but
remember it.
ask your kids who Ollie North is, and you're going to get a blank stare.
Yeah, because they weren't born then, but
Exactly.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Hmm.
Will I remember Haley Welsh in a month, in a year? in a couple years? I hope not.
Well, you'll likely remember her, but
I'll remember this interview.
yeah, this interview will live on. It will live on. It will outlive us, Rob. But as I said earlier, I think she's really had her 15 minutes. And I think what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, pretty much knocked that 15 minutes off of the radar.
Yeah.
So, and you know what I'm talking about. I won't say
Mhm.
it here, but the thing about being the flavor of the week is that the next thing that comes along will bump you
Yeah.
off of the public consciousness. People have moved on to the next thing. And that's why when I saw that people had applied to register all of these trademarks based on the Haktu, uh, somebody actually told me, as an aside, somebody actually told me, Angela, you're saying it wrong. Like, I can hardly stand to listen to you. So I actually made another video and I commented on the person. I sent them a link to the new video and I said, am I saying it right now? And they're like, yeah, yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing that. But anyway, what I was saying was the oh dear, I've completely lost my train of thought, Rob.
Oh, we're at the end of
What
the
was I
video.
saying? I went on a sidebar and the train totally went off the tracks. I was saying that um, Rob, I completely lost my train of thought.
Well, with the
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we were talking about the whole viral thing. We were talking about how
you
when you
need
get
another
when
big
you
ass
get bumped
cup of
off, when you
coffee.
get bumped off the train of thought, um, when you get bumped off, uh, no one's talking about you
Yeah,
anymore. No
yeah.
one's talking about you anymore.
And when you think about it, your brain fade there is how people are gonna remember this Huck 12 girl in a couple weeks.
Right. They're going to start talking about her. She's not going to be the main topic of conversation anymore. They're going to go off on another tangent and they're going to forget what they were talking about. Very much like what just happened right now. Sadly. Sadly.
So, if people find you, where do they go?
They go to trademarkdoctor.net and they can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/trademark doctor, or they can go to my professional profile on Facebook at facebook.com/Angela Langlots.
And I want everybody to understand that she doesn't do free consultations,
No, I don't do free consultations anymore.
because it just and I've been telling a lot of my audiences, free doesn't cut it.
No.
We're all entrepreneurs. We all need to make
Mhm.
money. Um, Pay for the consultation.
It's
Put
not
some
even very
skin in the
much.
game.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
when I started charging for consultations, Rob, you know what happened? People started showing up every time because they had paid for it. So
Mhm.
if people don't show up to the consultation, I can't help them. So I reasoned that if I was helping them show up so that I could help them and give them sound advice, I was actually doing them a service by charging them a very small amount for the consultation.
Yeah. That's what makes her awesome. So I hope you guys are paying attention, and don't spit on that thing. Mm-mm. And just kind of erase that Octwall girl out of your memory. And we'll see you on the next episode. Adios.